Hello, how you doing? It's me, Doug, again. Just wanted to talk to you really quick about something I saw last night that I thought was very interesting and people need to know what's going on. There are two people I listen to when it comes to finance, international finance. Catherine Austin Fitts, who, if she was run for president, I would vote for her. She is a Washington insider and money person that understands exactly what's going on. So, and this is what makes her a danger to many other people. Two, and I also listen to The Uneducated Economist. Basically, yesterday I listened to one of his videos. He made clear to me what is going on with the state of the United States and why manufacturing isn't going to come back, regardless of what Trump says. Let's go back to 45 at the end of World War II. The U.S. agreed to establish the dollar as a reserve currency pegged at a gold. Fine, that's fine. It was fine for a while until we started running trade deficits. And when you run trade deficits, means Americans by that in the 50s were wealthy, so they were traveling abroad and they were buying more at home, buying more imported goods. But this also led to a problem. It led to a growth of international dollars in reserves and abroad. And of course, the more dollars you have in the international market, the value of the dollar will go down. And of course, at the time, it was pegged to gold, so it put a strain on that exchange rate. And of course, France understood this. In 65, Charles de Gaulle basically ordered all his gold. Yes, he did. He ordered all the gold back from the U.S., which caused problems between France and the United States. And again, in the late 60s, there was a gold crisis and dollar crisis in which the U.S. was printing money for Vietnam and the Great Society. It put a strain on that exchange rate, and Great Britain was even asked for its gold back. It led to Nixon's 1971 breaking of the Bretton Woods Agreement, in which he ended the gold window exchange rate because it was being drained, although steps were taken in the late Johnson era to do so. And of course, he also imposed economic controls on the economy. That led to stagflation of the 70s and led to international trade conflict in the 70s. Eventually, the U.S., when Paul Volcker became Federal Reserve, he raised interest rates to 20%. And then, of course, that ended the inflation and brought more confidence back into the U.S. dollar in the early Reagan era. Now, the point being, and I want the Americans to understand, it was pointed out by a Belgian economist called Truffin, according to the Uneducated Economist. Basically, the country that had the global reserve currency agrees to trade deficits in exchange that it provides liquidity to keep the international world economy going with liquidity, and in order they can the world economy can continue to grow. And that's the point. The economic policy of the United, fiscal policy of the U.S. has been aimed not just at the domestic market, but also maintaining the world economy. And of course, in 91, the Soviet Union collapsed, the Cold War ended, and for a long time, the U.S. Was the dominant superpower. And we still continue to use the dollar as the global reserve currency, although it's come under some stress lately. But this is what has happened in the last 50 years. And it must be noted that the U.S. became a debtor country instead of a creditor country at this time. And our manufacturing suffered, as I remember the bitter ballad of Allentown from Billy Joel. So as to how it impacts today, Trump saying he's bringing back manufacturing, I don't believe so, because most corporations these days are looking not just at the domestic market, but the international market. That is the current state of affairs, and I suggest Americans, or actually anyone else, to understand why the world is the way it is today. These were the economic policies of the late 20th century. Have a good day. Bye.